On this special edition of Ebert and Roeper, we look at the two Toms, Hanks and Cruise. I'm Richard Roeper.
And I'm Roger Ebert. They're probably the top stars in movies today, and we're going to survey their careers, pick their best and worst films, and recommend some buried treasures.
Leave before it's too late.
Don't run. You don't have to chase me.
Road to Perdition and Minority Report were two of the most ambitious and acclaimed movies of the summer of 2002, thanks in no small part to their stars, Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise. We're calling this show Hanks and Cruise, Hollywood's Big Guns, and we'll be highlighting their best and most interesting work, nearly all of it available on DVD or VHS.
They both made their starring debuts in sex comedies, but maybe it was an omen that both of those early films were really good ones. For Cruise, it was Risky Business in 1983, where he was playing a kid left on his own for the weekend and getting into an amazing variety of trouble.
There's one thing I've learned in all my years. Sometimes you gotta say what you mean.
Part of Hanks' and Cruise's success is because they've had good taste in directors. Steven Spielberg, for example. He directed Hanks in Saving Private Ryan, and Spielberg worked with Tom Cruise for the first time in the smart and electrifying thriller Minority Report. Hitchcock said he liked to work with stars because the audience already knew them, and so he didn't have to waste time establishing them. Spielberg starts with our memories of Cruise in movies like Mission Impossible, and then he raises the ante.
I like your Hitchcock analogy a lot because Tom Cruise is playing the lead in a Hitchcock film here. One of these guys, he's the wronged man, but maybe he's not. You know, it's a vulnerable performance. It's a complicated role because we're not quite sure. Maybe he really is the bad guy in this film, and he does a great job of kind of stringing us along with that.
And he has a lot of action sequences, but he almost seems like he's been pressed into them. Not like he's an action hero, but he's an ordinary cop who gets himself in this situation.
Yeah, exactly. Now, in Road to Perdition, Tom Hanks took his darkest role to date, that of Michael Sullivan, a hitman for the Irish mob in the 1930s. Hanks doesn't fall back on that warm, crinkly smile or any of the endearing mannerisms he's used in other films.
I'm making a withdrawal. I want dirty money only. Everything you're holding for Capone.
It would have been nearly impossible to imagine Hanks growing into a role like that when he broke into movies 20 years ago as a wiry bundle of comedic energy.
Oh, listen, I'm going to see you Saturday night for the...
Ron Howard's Splash was another comedy hit for Hanks, but it also showed his potential as a romantic leading man.
This a big secret you've been keeping from me? Is it that you're a mermaid, or is there something else?
Hanks could be as sarcastic and cynical as peers like Chevy Chase, but he was already stretching his range to include a more natural and vulnerable style without winking to the camera or stepping outside of the scene. He wasn't just performing, he was inhabiting these characters.
You know, there's a kind of a bottom line of sincerity in almost everything Tom Hanks does. Even if it's a comedic role, you feel that at some level this person really feels what he's expressing. And that's an ability that can't be learned. I don't think you learn that in acting school. It's something that's innate in some actors, and it's innate in Hanks.
Yeah, even in Bachelor Party, which is, you know, raunchy and sexy and all that kind of stuff, his face, he stays true to that character, and he really does love the Tawny Kitaen character.
Tom Cruise's career built more quickly in the 1980s, while Hanks came into his own more in the 1990s. Cruise made a couple of minor early appearances in Endless Love in 1981 and in Taps the same year, but the roles were not especially memorable. But then Cruise was spotted by Francis Ford Coppola, who cast him in his powerful teenage drama, The Outsiders.
Hey, tell me, pony boy, what's it like being a hero, huh?
After the breakthrough success of Risky Business in 1983, Cruise was on his way with a string of enormous hits, including his jet fighter pilot, Top Gun, in 1986. Cruise entered the next decade full throttle. In 1992, he went toe-to-toe with Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men, and the following year he starred in The Firm. And in 1994, Cruise had a major box office success with Interview with the Vampire.
You'll get used to killing. Just forget about that mortal coil.
There were some iffy mainstream projects like Days of Thunder and Cocktail, but what's remarkable is that true stardom came not in a string of deliberately commercial films, but in risky and ambitious projects like Martin Scorsese's The Color of Money, Barry Levinson's Rain Man, and Oliver Stone's Born on the 4th of July, films we're going to be discussing in a moment. Because he's so popular, it's too easy to overlook the fact that Cruise is a supremely skillful actor who was not reluctant to take risks with his image.
It's also very impressive that he just worked so much.
Yes.
Tom Cruise didn't have this period when he was 26 saying, I'm the biggest star in the world. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Oh, I'm Hamlet. I don't know what. I'll take 3 years off. He kept working, and sometimes it was commercial stuff. Sometimes it was a lot more interesting
And for
work.
a guy who really is extremely good looking, he has no, or at least relatively little ego about how he appears on the screen.
Yeah, early on he set that precedent. Okay, coming up next, we'll hear Steven Spielberg's take on the two Toms.
I like to consider Tom my William Holden. He's going to get better with age, you know. I've been very blessed to work with, like, Tom Hanks, who's our national everyman. But Tom is starting to acquire some of that.
It's not an association that would come immediately to mind, but I think Steven Spielberg was right on the money there when he told me that he would compare Cruise to William Holden. Holden was an actor completely at home in action movies, but also effective in dramas, in romance, and in comedy. And Spielberg is also right in describing Tom Hanks as an American everyman. Hanks doesn't do action movies, or if he does, they're of a more thoughtful nature, like Apollo 13 and Private Ryan.
Houston, we have a problem.
In Saving Private Ryan, for which he was Oscar nominated, he sees a lot of action, but as an ordinary soldier, not a superhero. What he's best at are the everyman roles. He won back-to-back Oscars for 2 of them, for Philadelphia in 1994, where he played a gay man with AIDS fired from a law firm.
I misplaced an important complaint. That's their story. Want to hear mine?
How many lawyers you go to before you call me?
9.
Hanks won another Oscar the next year for Forrest Gump, which may be his most beloved role.
Congratulations. How does it feel to be an All-American? Very good, sir. Congratulations. How do you feel? I gotta pay.
Hanks is an everyman again in another film that earned him an Oscar nomination, Castaway. You look at those roles and they all have one thing in common. To see this guy is to like this guy. Like Jimmy Stewart, the actor he's most often compared with, Hanks brings an enormous amount of goodwill along to every role.
You know, if you were taking the train or the bus to work and you looked around, Tom Hanks could play every single male character and probably a couple of the women on that bus. He's believable as a banker, an executive, an astronaut, a delivery person. And I think even in a movie like Forrest Gump, there's a certain kind of wise quality where he can assess the situation around him. He's never a dupe or a patsy.
Now, Cruise, on the other hand, has a certain star aura. So if you saw him on the bus, you'd notice him. You'd wonder, who is that guy and what does he do? You know, so
yeah.
He doesn't just fade in an anonymous sort of way, in the way that Hanks can do. And in a way, that's a strength that both of them have, because star quality is equally important and rare in the movies.
And they're different. Okay, as we discussed, Tom Cruise became a global superstar in the mid and late 80s, I would say, by playing essentially the same character in a string of high-profile movies. In 1986, his Top Gun, Cruise was Maverick, a cocky lone wolf fighter pilot who learned some hard lessons about loyalty and love before achieving his real potential.
You figured it out yet?
What's that?
Who's the best pilot?
No, I think I can figure that one out on my own.
That same year, Cruise was opposite Paul Newman in The Color of Money. This time he was Vincent, a cocky lone wolf pool shark who has to learn some hard lessons about loyalty and love before reaching his true potential. And in 1988, Cruise played variations on the same type in The Slick and Overwrought Cocktail.
Give us a kiss, you sexy beast!
And in the vastly superior Rain Man. He was building up enormous career equity. That put him in the position to take on more challenging roles, including the part of the Vietnam veteran Ron Kovic in 1989's Born on the 4th of July, which resulted in his first Oscar nomination. While maintaining his status as the most bankable leading man in film, Cruise picked up a second nomination for Jerry Maguire. And he received a supporting actor nomination for his daring performance in Magnolia as Frank T.J. Mackey, a misogynist self-help guru.
Go to 23 in your white books. How to fake like you are a nice and caring person.
By delving into such a slimy part, Cruise was reminding us of his versatility and his stubborn refusal to become the Burt Reynolds of his generation, playing the same guy way past the point of interest.
You know, at the time that Cruise was coming along, the #1 male star in Hollywood was Burt Reynolds. And his problem was that he thought the people came just to see him. And Cruise has never made that mistake. Nobody comes to see Tom Cruise or any star. They come to see Tom Cruise as a character in a movie that involves them and excites them and gets them worked up. And that's what Cruise has done consistently by going for good directors and working with different kinds of people, whereas Reynolds made the mistake of just working with cronies and taking it easy.
Well, I do think they go to see Tom Cruise, but they want to see what he's going to do, so he's getting them in.
Point.
Tom Cruise knows he can get them into the theaters, and then he's going to maybe challenge the viewers and film lovers who have been up to the challenge and really appreciate his acting ability.
When they see his name on a poster, they have a feeling it might have identification with a certain amount of quality.
Absolutely.
Okay, when we come back, we each pick the single best film of Cruise and Hanks.
David Ames.
Julie Gianni.
Hey, handsome.
If I had to select just one Tom Cruise film to watch again right now, it would actually be Vanilla Sky. Cameron Crowe's remake of the Spanish film Open Your Eyes grossed $100 million, but that's kind of mediocre box office by Tom Cruise standards. But I was swept away by its dreamlight flights of fancy and its dark twists and turns. Cruise plays David Ames, who seems to have been knighted by the gods with a perfect life.
Happy birthday! Hey, friends of me, hello!
But Cruise really plays three distinct characters. The charming David Ames, who has it all, the cursed and disfigured David Ames, who turns just as ugly on the inside, and the David Ames who ultimately must come to grips with what is real and what is a lucid dream. It's a complex performance in an adventurous film.
Oh, yes, it is, and I liked it too, and I am absolutely at a loss to understand why the public kind of rejected it and critics were kind of soft on it, because I thought it was a very adventurous and daring movie, and for some reason, something was. What do you think it was?
I don't know what it was about this film that
also
scared people away.
We had all the movies at that period of time where the plot turned around on itself and there were paradoxes and things, and that was another one. You're right. It's a wonderful movie, but it's not my choice of his best film.
Okay.
I think Tom Cruise's best film is clearly Born on the 4th of July, directed by Oliver Stone and released in 1989. Nothing Cruise did earlier prepared his audiences for the impact of this movie. Cruise stars in the true story of Ron Kovic, a patriotic American kid who went to Vietnam, was critically wounded and paralyzed, and came back to an indifferent America.
I'm here tonight to say that this war is wrong, that this society lied to me, it lied to my brothers.
For me, it was in Born on the 4th of July that I first realized Tom Cruise was an actor with reach and depth equal to anyone. The hurt and rage and loss that Cruise's character expresses after his terrible injury were like a cry of pain against the system that betrayed him.
You know, it seems crazy to say now because Tom Cruise is this huge star, but Oliver Stone should be commended for probably at the time taking a chance on Tom Cruise. Probably wasn't the first actor that came to people's mind to play this interesting character.
And of course, in that movie, Cruise just devastates his ego. I mean, with the beard and with the gaunt figure and with all of the other
Well,
things.
he kind of starts off as Tom Cruise, the all-American boy, but then, of course, you know, crippled in so many ways by Vietnam, and he stays true to that. This is an early example that Tom Cruise was not going to let vanity rule his career.
Okay, now let's pick Tom Hanks' best film, and this is not real easy to do. I thought long and hard about Saving Private Ryan and Apollo 13, but finally I decided on Forrest Gump from 1994, a goofy, heartwarming comedy about a guy who may not be too bright, but somehow achieves the American dream. The movie, directed by Bob Zemeckis, shows Forrest as a person whose essential goodness somehow allows him to trust that everything will turn out all right, even in his delicate romantic relationship with Jenny, played by Robin Wright Penn.
Why are you so good to me?
You're my girl.
Maybe only Tom Hanks, with his combination of dignity and playfulness, could have pulled this off.
Well, you're right about it being a goofy comedy, but it's also a very moving film. There's a moment in this film where Forrest Gump realized that he has a son, and he's overcome with emotion, but also this concern, does this little boy have the same problems that Forrest has? And if you watch that and don't tear up and don't get a lump in your throat, I think you're dead. I mean, it's so moving.
Oh, yeah. I went to see the movie, I remember, a second time a week after it opened, in an audience that was packed, and people were crying. People were absolutely moved by a movie that, in the wrong hands or with the wrong actor, could have gone disastrously off the rails.
Another movie now that seems, in retrospect, like a safe decision, but at the time was really daring. It's a strange and offbeat, but very powerful movie as well. Okay, my favorite Tom Hanks film is Castaway. Hanks plays Chuck Noland, a successful and smart but kind of soft executive with Federal Express. And after his plane crashes and he's the sole survivor on a remote island, he spends most of the movie co-starring with a volleyball.
I know. Yeah, I know. I know where there's 30 feet of extra rope. But I'm not going back up there.
Hanks plays a character who goes through so many changes that it's almost a multiple role. There's the comfortable businessman who's happily engaged, the terrified yuppie who washes up on the island, the lean survivalist who adapts to his environment, and finally the man who returns to a life that has leapt 4 years ahead without him.
You know, it's interesting that we both picked a Tom Hanks film directed by Bob Zemeckis. I'm not sure that Castaway is one of his best films, although I think it's one of his best performances, because it seemed to me that it should have ended when he's rescued, that the sequel or the end of the movie was kind of tacked on and unnecessary.
Well, actually, the bookend stuff did work for me. Okay, let's look at some of their more underappreciated work for both Hanks and Cruise. Everyone remembers Risky Business, but Tom Cruise played another high school senior in a much grittier film, All the Right Moves.
He didn't quit. None of us quit. Oh, no, we beat those guys' asses up and down that field tonight.
And Hanks tears up the screen as the troubled Stephen Gould, a medical school dropout who becomes a stand-up comic in Punchline.
Well, let's see. We just got these x-rays back from the lab. Let's take a look.
Okay, my choice as the most overlooked Tom Hanks film is Joe versus the Volcano, written and directed by John Patrick Shanley in 1990. This is one of the most original American comedies of recent years, with Hanks as a downtrodden office worker who's told he has only weeks to live. That gives him the courage to quit the job and embark on an adventure in the South Seas.
I've been miserable so long. Years of my life wasted. Free. Been a long time coming here to meet you.
I think Tom Cruise's most overlooked film is a very recent one, Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick. Cruise played a doctor who goes astray in the sexual underworld in a series of adventures that seem inflamed by his fears and fantasies.
Get undressed.
Get undressed?
In a way, the discussion about Eyes Wide Shut got sidetracked because the MPAA made them put in that ridiculous animated blocking stuff to cover up the scenes in the orgy, and everybody started talking about that instead of about the movie.
How interesting it is and how good Tom Cruise was in it. Okay, coming up next, we each pick a scene that says it all about Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks.
Now we both want to pick one scene from the entire careers of Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks that we feel distills the essence, even the genius of these two actors. I'm going to start with Tom Hanks and with The Green Mile in 1999. Hanks plays a Southern prison warden who develops a love and friendship with a prisoner played by Michael Clark Duncan.
On the day of my judgment, when I stand before God, and he asks me, why did I kill one of his true miracles? What am I going to say?
As for Tom Cruise, he expresses a kind of a subtle power in Rain Man. Dustin Hoffman has the juicy role in the movie as the autistic brother that Cruise never knew he had. It's Cruise who makes the film work by reacting to his brother. And look at this scene that crystallizes his frustration.
You tire me, Ray.
Yeah.
We're going to drive to Los Angeles. We're going to drive to L.A. Okay? Come on, Ray. Ray, come on.
Tom Cruise is a leading man and an action star, and he's held his own in scenes with Paul Newman and Dustin Hoffman and Jack Nicholson. But if you're looking for one scene that captures his strengths as an actor, watch his work with little Jonathan Lipnicki in Jerry Maguire.
I don't know, it's just my whole life I've been trying to talk. I mean, really talk. But no one wants to listen to me. You know that feeling?
And a scene that gives us the essence of Tom Hanks in Sleepless in Seattle. Hanks plays Sam Baldwin, a widower whose son has called a national radio talk show shrink to get his lonely dad to open up.
Maggie, my wife, she really did it. I mean, she loved. She made everything beautiful.
And that, of course, was the movie that solidified Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks as America's favorite romantic couple.
But that's only because America wasn't paying attention when Joe versus the Volcano came out.
Okay.
Coming up next, we each pick their worst movies.
Yes, even Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise have a few barking dogs on their resumes. Hanks seemed desperate and lost in the terribly unfunny Dragnet, and Cruise was butchering an Irish accent in Far and Away, an overlong romance that plays like a series of panels from a fourth-grade textbook about 19th century immigrants.
The worst film Tom Cruise ever made is Legend from 1986, a goofy extravaganza in which Cruise's acting talent was completely overwhelmed by outlandish and absurd situations. And Tom Hanks' worst film? Well, that would have to be The Money Pit, also from '86, with Hanks and Shelley Long as a couple who unwisely believe the contractor when he says their house will be finished on time.
That's it for this special show. Next week, we'll be back with reviews of some new movies. Until then, the balcony is closed.
And the question, of course, is why haven't Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks ever worked together, and what kind of a movie could they make?
I think they could play brothers in a movie. That'd be interesting to see, but they each have to forego their normal salaries if they're going to do a movie together at this point.
Because otherwise it'd be a $50 million movie.
To start.
Yeah.
They're your family. That's why you serve them all-natural Tyson chicken with no additives and minimal processing. Tyson, it's what your family deserves.
For the best service, selection, and value, go to The Source. Brand Source, your neighborhood appliance, electronics, and home furnishings expert.
At Motel6.com, you'll see this, and it'll save you more when you book online. Well, you got to click on it. We'll leave the light on for you.
You can't beat the taste of a Quiznos oven-toasted sub made with the finest meats and cheeses. Try one today.
Toasty. Closed captioning for Ebert and Roeper is brought to you by...
Take a closer look at Meineke. You'll like what you see. Now with any Lifetime muffler, get a free oil change. Meineke, you won't pay a lot, but you'll get a lot.